Bugungi videomizda TOEFL iBT listening qismidagi practicelarni ishlab ko'ramiz. Buning uchun 14-trackni boshlashimiz kerak ekan.
Listen to part of a talk in an environmental science class.
So I wanted to discuss a few other terms here. Actually, some ideas about how we manage our resources. Let's talk about what that means. If we take a resource like water, well, maybe we should get a little bit more specific here, back up from the more general case, and talk about underground water in particular. So hydrogeologists have tried to figure out how much water can you take out from underground sources. This has been an important question. Let me ask you guys, how much water, based on what you know so far, could you take out of, say, an aquifer under the city?
As much as would get recharged?
Okay. So we wouldn't want to take out any more than naturally comes into it. The implication is that, if you only take as much out as comes in, you're not going to deplete the amount of water that's stored in there, right? Wrong. But that's the principle. That's the idea behind how we manage our water supplies. It's called safe yield. Basically, what this method says is that you can pump as much water out of a system as naturally recharges, as naturally flows back in. So this principle of safe yield, it's based on balancing what we take out with what gets recharged. But what it does is it ignores how much water naturally comes out of the system. In a natural system, a certain amount of recharge comes in, and a certain amount of water naturally flows out through springs, streams, and lakes. And over the long term, the amount that's stored in the aquifer doesn't really change much. It's balanced. Now humans come in and start taking water out of the system. How have we changed the equation?
It's not balanced anymore?
Right. We take water out, but water also naturally flows out. And the recharge rate doesn't change. So the result is we've reduced the amount of water that's stored in the underground system. If you keep doing that long enough, if you pump as much water out as naturally comes in, gradually the underground water levels drop. And when that happens, that can affect surface water. How? Well, in underground systems there are natural discharge points, places where the water flows out of the underground systems, out to lakes and streams. Well, a drop in the water level can mean those discharge points will eventually dry up. That means water's not getting to lakes and streams that depend on it. So we've ended up reducing the surface water supply too. You know, in the state of Arizona, we're managing some major water supplies with this principle of safe yield, under a method that will eventually dry up the natural discharge points of those aquifer systems. Now, why is this an issue? Well, aren't some of you going to want to live in this state for a while? Want your kids to grow up here and your kids' kids? You might be concerned with, does Arizona have a water supply which is sustainable? Key word here. And what that means, the general definition of sustainable is, will there be enough to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future to have the availability to have the same resources? Now, I hope you see that these two ideas are incompatible, sustainability and safe yield. Because what sustainability means is that it's sustainable for all systems dependent on the water, for the people that use it, and for supplying water to the dependent lakes and streams. So I'm going to repeat this. So if we're using a safe yield method, if we're only balancing what we take out with what gets recharged, but don't forget, water is also flowing out naturally, then the amount stored underground is going to gradually get reduced, and that's going to lead to another problem. These discharge points, where the water flows out to the lakes and streams, they're going to dry up. Okay.
Demek, audiomiz tugadi. Savolga javoblash boshlaymiz. What is the talk mainly about? Nima haqida bu leksiya? A common method of managing water supplies. Demek, water rezervlarini ishlatishi common keng tarqalgan usuli. Bu to'g'ri bo'ladi. The formation of underground water system. Formation of system haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Natural process that renew water supplies. Bu emas, natural process haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Maintaining the purity haqida ma'lumot yo'q, tozaligi haqida. What is the professor's point of view concerning the matters of safe yield usulini, demak usuli bo'yicha what is professor point of view? Nima fikri qanaqa uni? It has helped to preserve environment. Yo'q, unaqa demadi. Demak, tabiatni saqlab qolishga yordam berdi demadi. It should be researched in states other than Arizona. Arizonadan tashqarida demak izlanish kerak degan ma'lumot bermadi. It's not an effective resource policy. Bu to'g'ri, effektiv emas. Bu zararimizga ishlaydi dedi. Ignores the different ways people use water. Odamlar qanaqa ishlatishini ignore qiladi degan gap yo'q. Shuning uchun faqat 3-variantni olamiz. According to the professor, what are two problems associated with removing water from an underground system? Demak, professor bo'yicha undergrounddan suvni olish bo'yicha nima problemasi bor, nima muammo? Pollutants can enter haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Pollutant haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Ifloslantiruvchi bu narsa surface area can dry and crack. Demak, yerning yuzasi qismi qurib qolishi mumkin haqida ma'lumot bor. The amount of water stored in the system can drop. Demak, saqlanayotgan suv pasayib ketishi mumkin, miqdori bor. Dependent streams can dry up. Demak, dependent springlarni dry up qiladi. Demak, mana bu javobnomamiz. Surface area, ya'ni yuza qism demak qurib sinib qolish haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Shuning uchun 3-4-variantni oldik. What is the key feature of a sustainable water system? Sustainable, ya'ni saqlab tursa bo'ladigan water sistemasini asosiy demak anosi nima? O'ziga xos jihati. It's able to satisfy short-term and long-term needs. Demak, краткосрочный, долгосрочный bilmayman, tushunmayman o'zbek tilida nimaga shunaqa so'zlar yo'q. Demak, yaqin muddatda va uzoq muddatdagi demak talablarimizni qondirish. It's not affected by changing environmental conditions. Ma'lumot yo'q, environmental condition change'larga ta'sir qilinmasligi. Originates in lakes haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Not used to supply human needs. Odamlarning foydasiga ishlatilmaydi degan gap yo'q. O'shuning uchun bu variantni ham olmaymiz. Birinchi variant javob sifatida qoladi. What does the professor implied about water systems managed by the safe yield method? Safe yield usuli bo'yicha ishlatiladigan suvlar sistemasi haqida nima deb o'ylaydi, nima namoyon qiladi? The recharge at a rapid rate. Demak, recharge qilishi, test recharge qilish haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Not sustainable haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Bor. Chunki bu demak ushlab turib bo'lmaydi. Sustainable degani ushlab tursa bo'ladigan, davom ettirsa bo'ladigan. Degani bu mustahkam bo'lmaydi, davom ettirib bo'lmaydi, chunki qurib qoladi deydi. They must have large storage areas haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Katta. Poor quality of water haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Bu ham demak to'g'ri javob bo'lmaydi. Listen to track 15. Track 15 ni eshitib javob beramiz.
Why does the professor say this?
Now, why is this an issue? Well, aren't some of you going to want to live in this state for a while? Want your kids to grow up here and your kids' kids?
Xo'p, nima uchun shu gapni aytdi professor? To find out whether students are familiar with the issue. Muammoni tushunishini biladimi yo'qmi? Xo'p. To respond to question, student's question bo'lmaydi. Savol bermadi student hech qanaqa. To encourage students to care about the topic. Bu to'g'ri, demak mavzu haqida demak qayg'urishi, muammoni biladimi yo'qmi haqida ma'lumot yo'q demak bunda. To introduce a new problem, yangi muammo haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Demak 4-variantni javob sifatida olamiz. Keling endi bularni tekshirib ko'ramiz, to'g'ri qildikmi yo'qmi o'zi. Demak 11 1 12 3 1 3 to'g'ri. 3 4 1 to'g'ri. 2 4 to'g'ri. Demak, keyingi qismni hali o'qiganimiz yo'q. Shuning uchun ham keyingi qism keyingi videolarimizda tushuntiriladi.